Hi, this is Kurt with Axtreme-Guitar. In this video I'm going to be going over Kryptonite by Three Doors Down, so stay tuned. So as I said, we're going to be going over the song Kryptonite by Three Doors Down, and it's in standard tuning, so I'm going to be playing with my electric guitar, and you can play it with acoustic, but for this video I'm going to be using my electric because it's the closest to what the song uses. They do have an acoustic track that they play in behind the electric guitar, but as I said, for this video I'm just going to be going through my electric. And what we're going to start out with is that intro. It starts on B minor, and they're just kind of arpeggiating the chords. That just means they're picking through them. And it's really just starting from the root note on the A string. And I'm coming all the way down, going from this A string or fifth string to the second string, which is the B string. I'm not hitting the bottom E string, just going, and then I come back up to the third and fourth strings, and then I'm just going to reach up to this G. Now you'll notice as I go that I'm not playing it exactly like the song, but it's close enough that this is how I would perform it. There's going to be slight differences in the notes that they choose to pick out in their arpeggios. So again, we had the B minor, and then I'm just going to reach my middle finger right up to the third fret of the E string, and when I arpeggiate this G chord, I don't need to fret any other notes because I'm not going to be hitting any of those other strings. I'm just going to hit the E string where my finger is on the third fret. I skip the A string, which is muted by my middle finger, but I go to the D string, which is the fourth string, and I just go in order 4, 3, 2, and then instantly I will move right to the A sus2. The A sus2 looks a lot like an E minor, except an E minor would be up here, so you would just have the E string open up front, right at the top. In this case, my two fingers are going to be, some people like to use their pointer and middle here. I prefer to use my middle and ring, and I'm going to start on the A string because that's the root, and I get that suspended sound that you get from an A sus2. It's a lot like an A minor without your pointer finger. And similarly with the other two, I'm not hitting the bottom E string, and we're just going to get used to going back and forth through that that progression, starting with the B minor, and you keep going over and over again with those chords. They do have that little interlude before they get into the rest of the song, where they jump into the second verse. You'll hear some of the acoustic in behind the electric, just kind of doing like the and the electric does a version of that as well. But if you're just one person playing the guitar, then you can arpeggiate through the verse, and you can get a little bit of the strumming in there during that interlude. Now what they're doing in that is the same thing, just simply with the B minor, we're going to be coming on and off with the middle finger, so you got this. And I'm just hitting with down strums. Now when you get to the G, if it's easier for you and you don't want to hit any wrong notes, you can play the full G and then go to the A sus2. So you may notice too, when I'm in that interlude, I do this little short hit on the root note of each of the chords. And then I get the full strum on the rest of the chord. And I go to the G. Now you might get more than one note, but if you're in the full chord, then it's okay. It's just, I got the first two, and then get the rest of the chord, and then I do the same with the A sus2. And then as soon as we start the next verse, we're automatically right back into the arpeggiating. Now when we get to the chorus, what I like to do is shift to power chords. What I have told a lot of my students when working with this song is I'll take and make it simple, just work with the E pattern power chords, meaning that we're just going to be on the E string. I'm just going to stay on the 7th fret power chord. That's going to be 7 on the E string, ring finger goes on the A string 9th fret, and then my pinky goes on the D string 9th fret. You don't have to use all 3. You could just use 2, but I like to use 3. And we're not hitting the lower strings, we're just focusing on the top 3, the 6, 5, and the 4. Now my strumming pattern with this is down, mute, and I'm muting, palm muting. So my palm is on the strings at the bridge there. I let it ring out once, no palm muting at all, no contact with the bridge, and then I get that little bit of palm mute in there. And if you're new to that, it's not going to be the easiest thing at first, but it is a very commonly used technique. So if you would like, I have a video on how to palm mute. You can check that out. In this case, I will let you figure it out on your own, but I'm telling you exactly what I'm doing and trying to make it sound like what they're doing in the song. So that's the B, and I'm just going to call it B, not B minor, because it's a B power chord, which is a neutral chord, power chord. And so we're going B, then we slide down to the 3rd fret, and we're going to the G, and we're coming up to A on the 5th fret. Notice I don't have to move my fingers off of any other strings. They're all staying in the same place, the same position. It's just a cookie cutter position. Now the first time around it's the B, G, A. So 7, 3, 5. Second time around it goes B. Then we go to the E. And this is what I do with the E power chord. Instead of being in this kind of a shape, I'm just going to bring my pointer finger across the A and D strings on the 2nd frets, which is basically the 5th and the 4th strings, and I'm still only hitting the top 3 strings, the open E. So I get my E power chord. And the good thing about this too, the way that I'm doing it this way, you could play it this way like some people play an E minor or this, but I like to do it this way so that when I get to the F sharp power chord, I'm just moving my pointer up 1 string, because the F sharp is that 2nd fret of the E string, and placing these fingers back into the typical power chord position. And now you've basically learned the entire song because it just repeats throughout the song. So the arpeggiation of the verse chorus, and then you have the chorus as well as the rest of the end of the song, because it's just a repetition of the chorus. All of that. Now the next part is going to be the lead parts that are happening in the song. So for this next part here, we're going to be looking at the solo riff that's going on. First it happens in the middle of the song, and then they do it again, but with a slight alteration. So it's in the key of B minor, and everyone has their own way of doing it. I don't actually even know how the band plays it. They might do it down here. I like to do it up here at the 2nd fret. So what we're going to do is start from the 2nd fret, and I like to go 2nd fret on the A string, that's the 5th string, and I'm going my, well, as you can see, pointer, ring, pinky. So 2, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4 are the first parts. And then what we're going to do from there is a slide, starting from the 5th fret to the 7th. I'm not going to actually hit the 5th and go. I'm going to slide as soon as I strike the string. So it's, and you want to stop right at the 7th fret. If you don't want to use your pinky finger, you could just use your ring finger. And after we've performed that slide, then we're going to come back down to the 5th, to the 4th, 5, 4, open, and then we go to 2nd fret to open, 2nd, open, 2nd. Now I've included the tabs for this song. You really just are going to be reading tabs for the lead part. The others is just chord tab to follow along with the lyrics, and it's pretty straightforward there. But with this lead part here, some things are good to explain with it, watching how it's done, because after we get up to that point, we're going to get the more palm muting. And you can either do all down strokes or alternate strokes. And what I generally will do, sometimes I'll move both fingers, but I usually tell people that I am teaching this to try to just keep that index finger planted on the 5th fret on the A string or 5th string. So think string 5, fret 5, and you're going to be going back and forth from fret 5 to fret 7. Now it can get tricky if you're not used to doing something like this, because it's a little bit faster, plus you're trying to palm mute at the same time. That's what you want to get used to doing there. And then you move down in pitch to the 4th fret and do the same thing, except you're not doing a full step. You're going to go a half step, which is just 1 fret up from the 4th fret. So 4, 5. So we're going to go 5, 7. So I go directly from the 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, and instead of going back to the 5, we're going to go to the open A. And that ends that riff for the first go round. In the middle of the song, it starts it right back up again, and you repeat the whole thing. Now, the second time around, you're going to land right on the power chord, and it makes sense to play the B power chord up here at the 2nd fret with the way that I've set up the riff to be played here. So as long as you are aware that the B power chord starting on the A string, which is the 5th string, is on the 2nd fret, and then your ring finger goes on the D string, 4th fret, and if you choose to use your pinky, you can put that on the G string, 4th fret, right behind your ring finger. And the trick behind this is that you want your index finger to be in contact with the E, not fretting it, but in contact with it, so that it's muted. Because if you didn't mute it, it's just going to sound like a mess. So at the outro, that last guitar solo, They're going to play first time around just like what you already did. And then the second time around, this is where the change happens. It's just a minute difference. So right there, instead of sliding to the 7, we're going to slide all the way up to the 9. Slide to the 9, then we walk back down to the 7, 5, 4, 5, open, and then we go 2, open, 2, open, 2, just like the rest of it. It falls back into what we're already aware of how the solo goes. Hope you enjoyed that video. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned for my next video.